call this meeting to order with roll call. Gloria.
Yes.
Judy.
Here.
Tyler.
Here.
Warren.
Here.
Randy. Here. And Larry is absent tonight because of prior engagement. Others present: Doug Lucero, Rachel Adair, Kevin Curtis, Steve Donovan, Robert Fogg, Jason Irwin, Sarah Harris, Ted Stump, Mandy, and that's it. And Sarah on TV. Okay, Council, if you look at the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the
Motion.
flexibility.
Motion by Randy to approve the agenda with flexibility. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Tootie. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, same sign. The agenda will be accepted. Minutes of the last meeting.
The first part says August 140th, should be the 14th.
Oh, yeah.
And then the last page, building permit, where Rick May, it says N moved to approve the building permit. I think it should be Peterson. I'm not 100%, but I'm the only one with the last name ending in N. So I'm guessing I put the motion for that and then tie it. But those are the only revisions I saw.
Anything else?
I motion to approve the minutes as no other objections.
Motion by Warren to approve the minutes with the corrections he stated. Tyler seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Finance officers report. Any questions for Gene?
I don't have any questions. I motion to approve the financial officer's report on the outside impression.
Motion by Warren to approve the finance.
I'll second it.
Second by Tyler. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Claims for September.
I have a question on the Anderson Palmer Goodsell and Nelson. Are we over budget on them? Because I was looking at the year-to-date balance, it's like in parentheses, or like 9,000 over. Okay.
Yeah, it's in parentheses were
Most other ones.
Yeah,
They're
there's
over.
concrete, rock, post hole.
yeah.
But we didn't have that in the budget though either, so that's part of the thing.
But we'll have to do supplemental budget for next month.
The tire disposal of what is it? Do they go somewhere?
Yeah. The bag.
Do they come from the dump, the ones that we got, just to help clean it up? They won't let us just leave them later.
Oh, no.
Can't bury it.
Mm-mm. Can't burn them.
Well, I know that. That's not cheap.
No. We only do that like every 2 or 3 years. That's why we charge the tires.
$10,000, right?
Yeah.
But we haven't spent about half of it.
Yeah, I didn't see that in the budget next, but, or is that going to be the 2025 that is on the budget then, or?
No, it'll be supplemented for this year.
Oh, that'd be something. Okay. That was the one that I noticed.
What happened to our AWAS out at the airport? Somebody shoot it or run over it or hail get it? It broke down.
I don't know, it's $100,000.
And we gotta move it anyway.
I'm motion to approve the claims for September.
Motion by Warren to approve the claims for September. Any further questions? If not, I need a second.
I'll second.
Second by Judy. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, same sign. We'll pay the claims. The food payment this month is $703.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Judy, second by Warren. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. I'm gonna open it up for public comment. And we decided to get 5 minutes. In your case, code enforcement's about last on the agenda, Rachel. So any other public comment? Mr. Fogg?
Mr. Mayor, I thank you. I believe present among the table up front there is an individual who could be considered the queen of clean. She loves a neat town. Well, I don't know if she picked up on it yet, but there's an awful mess at the end of Main Street. Have they been properly cited yet? I dare ask. Now, when I try to clean up my property, I get tagged $8 a pickup load.
Really?
Are you gonna tag them $8 a pickup load? Where I'm at down below.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really.
I don't know. I haven't.
Who are we talking about? The high school? Well, they're gonna pay a lot more than $8.
A pickup load.
This is like a lot for.
Well, they're gonna have to have a lot of pickups, aren't they?
It's a side dump truck, I think.
Thank you for.
Well, how many pickup loads is a dump truck?
I have no idea.
That would be good math.
Who takes it for,
There's,
who takes it?
The
They get
boss,
charged if they go out to the landfill. They write it down and then
the
you.
boss at the money table.
I don't do a test of it, so.
I kinda think you might wanna go to at least one day a week free dump, if you really wanna clean up town.
October?
yeah, October's coming.
So, between now and October, I can just stack crap up beside the road? I can wait for October and April or May.
If there's no further public comment, we're gonna move
Sarah,
on.
you want?
Sarah, yeah, Sarah, you got public comment?
Yes. So, not sure how much y'all know about this or remember it, so I'll just start from the beginning. So at some point in the past, the ACLU teamed up with Native American Rights Fund, so a whole slew of attorneys, made a records request, an open records request on behalf of the Oglala Sioux tribe for 20 years worth of documents that spanned everything under the sun plus petitions tank. So we wrote back on behalf of the city and followed the statutes and said, the statute allows us to help them curtail their request down to something that might be more financially feasible for them, because oftentimes requesters of documents don't know that we charge, and sometimes they're asking for stuff that's so vague and so all-encompassing that they don't realize how much time and effort it will take to compile it, how much we're going to charge them. So the statute allows us to say, what exactly are you seeking? So I had written back saying that this is asking for massive amounts. It requires us to sit and listen to audio tapes for 20 years worth of city council meetings to see if one of them is responsive to your request. Just the largest request I have ever seen in my life, by far. So we wrote back, and they had indicated that they're entitled to every last bit of it, and they shouldn't have to pay, they would pay anything. So anyway, they filed a complaint with, these types of things first go to the Office of Hearing Examiners. It's like a judge that is kind of like a judge and issues a ruling. So the Office of Hearing Examiners found that the vast majority of their requests were improper under South Dakota's Open Records Act. Curtailed down to just a few, so of the universe of this many documents over 20 years, curtailed it down to something far more able to respond to. So then Gene did the work to estimate the cost to compile that narrowed down set of documents, and it was $276 worth of labor time and copy costs. We submitted that to the ACLU and NARC, Native American Rights Fund attorneys, and asked for them to pay it or waive tribal sovereign immunity so that after we fork them over, we know that we can recover the cost. You know, if you were to give records over before they pay for it, there's the only way that you can ensure that you're going to be paid is to sue them then. And you can't sue tribes, they have sovereign immunity. So anyway, that was our response, and the ACLU and NARC attorney said we will not agree to any payments under any circumstances in any way. It really was what I call a make work project, so that they had some work to do and some press releases that they could release, and they did throughout the state. So the reporters that called me did a good job of listening to me and understanding that this isn't a newsworthy story. But if you heard it on South Dakota Public Broadcasting, they did a lot of, they did stories on it on South Dakota Public Broadcasting. So I might send this decision to them yet. But they appealed the Office of Hearing Examiners order that was very favorable to us to the circuit court, which is the next step. And then after that, you can go to the Supreme Court. So anyway, we were down in Hot Springs on August 6th or something like that, arguing. They were limited to bringing in 5 attorneys because the court limited them to 5 attorneys. But they had attorneys fly in from all over the country, and only one spoke, and then the other one flew home and then withdrew from the case. Lots of time and effort that they spent trying to sue us for $276 that they didn't want to have to pay. Anyway, just within, 45 minutes ago, the circuit court ruled in our favor on all grounds that were before the court. So the court ordered that the Office of Hearing Examiners ruled correctly, affirmed that ruling, that the tribe does need to pay the estimated cost before we have to produce the documents. If for some reason our estimate is too high and therefore the tribe pays too much, that we will of course reimburse them. I had said over and over, of course we will reimburse them if they end up paying more than the actual cost. And affirmed that the Office of Hearing Examiners' original determination, taking this much worth of records down to just this much, was the correct determination. So, big ruling. You might hear about it in the news if I decide to submit it, probably only to South Dakota Public Broadcasting, because they're the only one I think that ran with the story. But nice decision in your favor. If you have any questions about that, I can answer it. Just, you don't need to take any action or do anything with that information.
Thank you, Sarah. Any questions for Sarah? No? Okay, moving on. Law. Doug, you have the floor.
The month of August, we had 12 arrests, 1 of those being a misdemeanor warrant, 2 of those being felony warrants, 1 being a juvenile, 88 calls for service, and 30 traffic stops.
Any questions for Chief? Okay. Next on the agenda is contract law. I believe you all have a copy of the contract and the budget for the law. Anybody looked it over, copied?
Can this still be changed by us?
If you want to know,
I just had one comment.
if you have another, if you need another draft, yes, it's
I
council.
mean, I'll run it by you and see if this makes sense with you. the very first section, law enforcement agreement, the last paragraph, should we maybe mention the SDCL code as part of that? Maybe that's a question for Sarah.
The SDCL, the second whereas. 9 days, 29 days, 20, and 9 days, 14 days, 22. Go ahead, Sarah.
Are you talking about the paragraph on the first page that starts with now therefore?
Yes. There's that just kind of understood already in that, but I thought maybe it says obligated to provide countywide, that's the enforcement you were talking about. Should we mention the actual SDL law that says that that's the case, that they have to provide that? Or am I missing it somewhere else up above?
I'll have to check those statutory references up above, because they might include that, but if not, yes, we can.
I just think it'd be wise to put that in,
include the statute if it's not already.
because we've got all the rest of them pretty well identified and you know,
Isn't that one in 1422?
That's what I thought it was.
I can check, and if not, I can add it if it's not already in there.
I think I figured one. It's in accordance with SDLC 9/14/22, law enforcement versus city county ordinances.
well, but does that have dealing that says the city attorney has to prosecute them, whereas below that the county sheriff is obligated to provide law enforcement in the city, not regarding city ordinances, but just basic law enforcement? And is there a separate statute for that, is my point.
That might be the first one, but the 9/29/20, it might be, I can check, and if it's not that one, I will add
Okay,
a reference to it.
thank you.
And then, the date, September 1st, on financing, the first of the month. We should change September 1st to the first of the month in the amount of 28,000. Shouldn't we?
All right, what paragraph are you on?
Financing
Bottom
22.
paragraph, financing.
Paragraph H, yeah, we've already passed the date.
Yeah,
Okay, yes,
would it be easier just
yep,
to
I can do
say,
that,
would it be easier just to say the first of the month?
yeah,
Payments due.
yep, that works.
What's your feelings, council? What do you want to do?
So just keep in mind that the law board has been working on it, their committee, and so just procedurally, they need to, whenever this is in the shape that they feel comfortable it's final and they want to recommend it to you, then they need to do so, and then you need to sit on it to your next meeting, because you can't act on it in the same meeting that the law board recommends it. But it might not be in final format. You'll see there's still a few comments that off to the side that might require some attention. But
Didn't you get,
just keep that in mind.
didn't you get this one? Or did you send this?
I got the one that
Did you
I
send this?
believe I have the last
Her
version.
associate drafted.
Did you get the one that your associate drafted?
Yep, that's what I'm looking at. There's still just a few comments off. Remind me what you decided to do with inventory and the cars. I've got that somewhere in my notes, but we weren't gonna provide an inventory, right? Because
Most of it's surplus, right?
Yes.
Sarah, the plan is for them to borrow what little they have for the rest of the year. And after the end of the year, decide if they're gonna buy it or surplus it.
okay.
Because most of it's, it will be outdated. stated.
Yeah.
I will add that.
So do we have to surplus, because no motion has been made to surplus anything, so
Nothing really to surface, that's.
the cars,
I suppose. We're gonna hold on to the cars in case it doesn't work out.
so it'll just lend the cars,
Yeah. Temporary,
but they'll cover the insurance.
yeah, insurance, maintenance.
Is that all stated in the contract?
Uh,
It needs to be stated somewhere.
I don't think it was in this one.
no, it's-
We need to add that,
saw something about the insurance.
for the officers.
Maybe that's what I.
But it needs to be stated in here.
Yeah, all that needs to be stated in the contract.
Mhm.
What about cell phones? Is that part, I mean, right now, that's
I don't know about cell phones.
the bill for the cell phones, we'd have to cancel ours and then get cell phones through the county, or what? Because it will cost us to, I think, we'll charge. Cancel your contract?
I don't know.
Sure.
Are the phones not paid for?
Yeah, but you have like a 2-year,
How many phones are there, and I mean, really, what could the buyout be?
there's 4, plus, they're not like regular phones.
Okay.
That could be an option too, you can just transfer delivery responsibility.
Can you?
Yeah, you can just do it online, it's pretty simple to do.
Okay. No, because then they have that Motorola with the mobile unit and everything.
Mobile units, but we have the Motorola and we have a Wave app attached to it.
Yeah,
Well-
and they charge every month for it. Yeah. Okay.
Now, I'm sure Wave would be fairly simple just to transfer over to the sheriff's office as well. It'd just be adding more lines to their plan.
So we also have the mobile computers in the cars.
Yes.
Those are separate. I mean, do they need to be surplus?
I would think so,
Sounds like we just paid like $20,000 for them.
something like that.
Yeah.
The tasers as well. I'm sure that it needs.
So most of, some of that stuff out there isn't junk. It's kind of
And even
expensive.
usable in the cars, they're gonna borrow our cars. Got a 100,000-mile warranty.
Yeah, but there's $20,000 worth of computers sitting in them cars too.
The sheriff can't use the computers that are in the cars and just use the
Well-
outfit.
Should it be stated that that's part of what we're lending them?
Yes.
And then something happens that
Fix it.
fix it?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's an easy fix.
Yeah.
Any other concerns? So when we get this
So
second,
just, you'll,
go ahead, Sarah.
I'll just remind you, oh, sorry, Mayor.
No, go
I'll
ahead.
just remind you, page 3, paragraph 10, the city does need to have a humane holding device and facility for the detention of animals set up, ready to go. That was something the county wanted in there, and if you want them to enforce animal ordinances, you do need to have that ready. If you're gonna contract with the vet, you'll have to pay for it, because this version of the contract says the city will be providing that facility. I don't know what the status of that is, and if you have that established, but if you agree to that provision, you will need to have it established by the time you sign it.
Well, can we just go along with contracting with that for now?
Yeah, yes. The thing you wanna do is, so now we that they need to pay the cost of confinement of impounding basically to get their animals back. I think we've suffered a loss on some occasions where people just don't pay it. We've had a situation where people have more than allowed animals, and we don't want them to just pay the impounding fee and take their animals back because they have too many animals in their place in the first place. So we've had some issues there, but I just want to make sure you think through all of that, because you could have a situation where the sheriff's department is dropping off dogs at this vet location, and it's incurring pound fees, but that's kind of out of your control. So it deserves some attention how you're going to do that. Probably you should work with the chief on how you anticipate those matters being handled.
I bought some hog panels in the back of your garage and
Dog rescue.
Right now, when nobody claims the dog, he gives it to a rescue and charges a rescue fee of $50. So plus more, a little bit
Is
of
that what
wording.
they use in our hospital?
Yeah, I know he holds them up, he holds them for 3 days and he'll send them a light shine most of the time.
Is that what's written?
I don't know what light shine is that.
Sure. Kyle, I believe.
Kyle?
I believe so.
that's good, Tom. Any other questions for this contract?
So we have to, I don't know, official, one of these drafted up, Sarah, by the law board, and then after that, we can vote to sign. Or send it to them.
And yeah, then they have to the law board needs to make their recommendation, then you need to wait one meeting till the next meeting. But of course, you're gonna want this to be agreeable by the county. I mean, you can't just send it to the county and then they might have a whole bunch of changes, but there's no reason you can't be working with them in the meantime. I guess I don't recall, if Sarah Harris is there, I don't recall if my associate already sent it to her or not. I've got it. But it's worthwhile getting a copy to the county law board just to make sure we don't need revisions before the law board recommends the final version to the city council as a whole.
If there's been any updates recently, I haven't gotten anything. The last copy that I got was from one of my commissioners. So
There hasn't been any yet.
I haven't gotten anything.
When was the last time you got something from a commissioner?
Was it last week?
Then there hasn't been anything changed, except for what was just said.
We got the latest copy of it, as soon as everybody else did.
So would it be appropriate to have a special meeting after we get the next draft of this contract?
I would have the law board do that. So this,
The law board,
nitty-gritty stuff like this can and should be discussed with the law board and then given to the county law board. And then those negotiations can kind of take place back and forth. And then it doesn't take up your time in city council meetings. You can just have the law board submit kind of the final product, hopefully based with the agreement by the county. That would be ideal. And then the law board presents it to you, walks you through it, why they agreed, why the county wanted certain things, and they agreed to certain things, and then they recommend it to you, and then you sit on it until your next meeting. You can have special meetings just to hurry it along, but
okay,
you can't act on it in the same meeting that the law board recommended.
right.
So is this a posted meeting then, like a posted executive meeting?
In executive session?
Would it be a posted executive meeting between those boards?
The law board
I guess
inconsistent.
I can't quite hear you, but if you have a meeting with the two,
Does it have to
maybe
be
they call
posted?
it-
Does
There's
it
an
have to be
agenda.
posted
There's
with an
have
agenda?
To be posted.
Oh. So this is the question that I keep answering all the time. I do recommend that you post it. I do recommend that you have an open meeting and allow the public. If you have an open meeting, you should post an agenda.
But But
I err on the side of caution so that you don't get an open meeting complaint, so I would do that if I were you.
if it's just the law boards, there isn't enough people for a quorum.
Right, I mean, I sent you guys a memo on this, you maybe could get by, but lawyers never tell you how you can maybe get by, we tell you how to for sure not do anything illegal, so I will still stick to my advice that I should.
Lou, when do you wanna have a meeting?
Make a couple of
Wednesday? Just post it tomorrow.
Where are you having it at?
Right
Anytime.
Is that
What time
too
you want
soon
it?
for them to, for you guys? Is that too soon for them to get all their changes made?
Well, we'll change it in that meeting.
Okay, if there's nothing,
So, are we having it
Tomorrow, or Wednesday.
Wednesday? Where and when?
Then have it. Sarah, can you give us what we talked about
I
tonight?
can't. Yeah, say it real close to the computer, otherwise it's so muffled I can't tell what people are saying.
Can you, get what we told you to change in this tonight? By Wednesday?
Yeah, I'll give it to Ashley, then she can. I'm in trial in 2 weeks and I'm crazy busy right now, but yeah, feel free to work directly with Ashley McDonald. She's at my office, we kind of stole her away from the city of Spearfish. She was the city of Spearfish's in-house city attorney, so she's very experienced. You're in good hands with her. She can get stuff turned around quickly. I can't right now just due to my trial schedule. But yeah, feel free to work with Ashley, and I'll give this to her first thing in the morning.
What time do you want your meeting?
What time do you want? What time do you want the meeting? 5:30.
If you have it here, you're gonna have to get keys from somebody, from the school to get into the room.
They're saying that, they're gonna do the law board meeting on Wednesday at 5:30.
No.
They're having the law board meeting.
Wednesday, this
This Wednesday? Yeah. Oh, this Wednesday at 5:30. At 5:30, the law board, you're on the law board. You guys have to go.
This Wednesday?
This Wednesday, and it's a.
does the council feel they need executive session for contract law? If not, we're gonna move on to personnel.
Is that really it?
Unless you guys want to discuss it anymore.
I can't make any decisions.
Does anybody else want to discuss it?
Good. Moving on, personnel.
This- Anthony graduated, so he's supposed to get a raise,
Or do we have executive session?
just in case. They need to go into executive session for personnel.
It's up to the council. If they
So was
want to
agreed
give a
upon
raise.
before was that certified officers would get $20 an hour.
How much?
20.
And I think we was giving him a probation for that, his actions though too.
If we're gonna have a contract with the county here in a month, month and a half, whatever it may be, shouldn't we just,
Don't we have a probationary period? For
6
you?
months.
6 months.
he's past the 6 months. Now, I know with the, I mean, we should probably go into executive session in the personnel.
Council,
I'll make the motion. to executive.
motion by Gloria,
LC 125 Gordon Dovel.
executive session, SDCL 1-25-2.1.
The personnel,
I don't know, I might.
so you can say that.
Second by Randy.
I will go with Paul staying here.
I'm on there too, right, Gene?
Yeah.
All right. Executive session.
At 6:05.
Yeah.
Motion to pay Anthony Arona for for a 3% raise of $17 an hour, and to hire AJ Moran as a seasonal employee and pay him $16 an hour.
Motion by Warren,
Second.
second by Tyler. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
And I'd like to cash in 102 hours of my vacation.
I want to approve the cashing in of 102 hours of vacation.
Motion by Warren to let Doug cash in vacation hours. Is there a second?
Oh, sorry.
Second by Larry. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next on the agenda is appropriation ordinance number 259. This will be the second reading. You guys want me to read this out loud? I read it once, word for word. I can do it again.
Is that necessary or? No?
Should I just pass it? People?
There's a copy.
It hasn't changed, right?
It hasn't changed.
Oh.
There's a copy right there, hasn't changed. I don't think we need to do that.
Okay, then I need a motion to accept the second reading of the budget order.
I
Motion.
motion to publish.
Motion to accept and publish by Warren,
I'll second.
second by Tyler. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, same sign. Carried. Fall cleanup is next on the agenda. Usually we do the month of October. Or pre-dump month.
For residents.
Residents. In town people.
And not commercial.
Well, I can't leave the pizza out on my own.
Yeah.
I don't know, she was looking at me.
No, it's like, I was pointing at the high school.
I'll move. I'll move on that.
Motion by Larry to accept October as our fall cleanup month.
I'll second.
Second by Warren. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Water well samples.
So we just got our arsenic samples back and we are right at the MCL for it. We're not in violation yet, but if we go above it all, we're gonna be there. So we probably need to be looking at some treatment or something. Hopefully with this housing thing coming out there, that there'll be some available funding to maybe help with a new well or something, but we need to probably start looking at some filtration or something.
And well, is that gonna involve?
I had a guy down here for, can't remember what his company was, but he's kind of helping with this West River line that's coming through, so we came down and just kind of looked at our wells. And right now, if we went to this pump house over here where the booster station is, it would probably hold all the filtration equipment, and we could do 2 wells with that one. And then maybe we could blend with our other well, it would be all right. I would say that's, if we're gonna take a route, that's probably what we need to look at. Cost-wise, I don't know what.
How far does it take it out?
I'm not for sure. That's all something that they would probably have to, I mean, that's the bad thing is if we wanna go through with this, we're probably gonna have to get an engineer and everything. But I just wanted to bring it to your guys' attention because ultimately it's your system. I'm just
For
trying to-
refresh my memory, what causes the arsenic levels to go up?
It's just everything in the ground, runoff, everything, just more, just the ground soaks up, it's just there.
Drought?
If you pump your wells a little harder, it seems to go up a little bit more, but that one at the golf course, I think it used to be 50 milligrams per liter, like in 2000, up to 2006, I think is when they changed that. Then they dropped it to 10, so they really cut it back, and well 4 was over it then. But we can get away with well 4 by just saying it's emergency use only, and it just comes on very occasionally. So we're primarily using other 2 wells, and they were like at 8. Now they just, this last sampling, they were both at 10. So anything over that will be a violation. And
How much harder are the wells gonna pump by adding 25 more homes?
they're gonna pump more. And the thing is what will happen is we're just either gonna have to cut the golf course back or cut parks back or something. But this summer is, I mean, it's, what do we have, 100-degree days pretty much at 1 month. We've only hit 500,000 gallons per day like 3 times. Usually we're about 350, 400, so it's not bad. I mean, it's something I don't think we're gonna get away from.
Do we actually need to have an engineer come to figure some of this out, or can you make some phone calls and get some prices, quotes?
Well, they're gonna wanna probably do a study on the system, which some of it was done from KLJ when we did that water project down here.
Right.
And Dana's the one working for the tribe, and he's looking for funding right now for us for this, for either a new well or whatever we gotta do there. But Jim Jones is the guy I had come down for West River. I mean, he works for an engineer firm, I just can't remember. I could reach out to him and just kind of see. I mean, we won't take another arsenic sample till next year. I just wanted to bring it to your guys' attention that we're
What
there.
about water systems? Is there any kind of feasibility to that?
So what's that?
Like Mid-Dakota, water systems?
Well, Minnewachuny is pretty close to us, but last I knew, they kind of had some issues keeping that line down this far clean. I mean, they were having some issues with it. They weren't moving enough water. So, and I don't think they have any intention coming over here. Because at one time they were talking about hooking up the 2 housings, and then that kind of fell through. Because at Allen, I think they hit Boondocks and head that way. That's as close as they come.
So what are we looking at then? Trying to find more water on the ground, or what?
Yeah, I would say another well. I mean, that's the whole purpose of this new West River line coming to the Black Hills. It's to help like Ellsworth out that has those high PFASs and stuff. It's just the planning stages of it, but that's why we're kind of going with them a little bit, just so future use or whatever. I mean, I can't see them bringing a main clear down here just for Bennett County when Minnewachuny's so close. But there's different funding available for different funding supporting that, and we don't fall into the Minnewachuny one. So there's some different entities there, but I don't know all the stuff for it, but
A new well costs, what, $300 a foot, and we're about 500 feet to water?
yeah, 550 in the well we're at, or the aquifer we're at.
That one cost about $1 million.
Yeah.
And that was 10 years.
Tower and everything. right?
What's that?
20 years.
That was with the tower and everything. We wouldn't need a tower though, right, Paul?
Yep, what's that?
We wouldn't need a new tower like.
No, just a well.
That's just a well.
Yeah,
So the tower does keep up, is that what you're telling me, or?
oh yeah,
Right now.
towers keep up, yeah. It's just the wells.
But you saying like the filtration might be a good option too,
Yeah.
instead of tapping a new well.
See, two of the wells come in over here to this aqua storage, and then from there it goes to the pump house, treated, and goes out to the system, or up to the elevated. So if you put it over here, you could essentially treat two wells at one place versus putting a filtration over at that well and a filtration over at this well.
Isn't reverse osmosis the only way to get rid of arsenic?
So it's like charcoal filters or something. They've come up with a lot different ways now and a lot cheaper than what it used to be. I mean, it's still gonna cost some money, but
So do you think KLJ would come down here and do it, or who do you recommend, or what?
I would probably go with who that Jim Jones is. There was a professor there that used to be an engineer there, and he did a couple of presentations on this arsenic removal. But everybody that we dealt with for KLJ has quit and moved on.
Okay,
So like Dana, none of them guys are there no more.
okay.
Like I said, I can just make some phone calls and get some information more, and bring back to you guys or something. Like I said, we won't get another sample till next year. I just wanted you guys to be aware of it.
Yeah, in case we start having problems.
I don't think our water's that bad myself.
What's the
Anything else?
filtration cost?
I don't have any idea.
Paul's gonna check and get us some answers for next meeting. Anything else on water samples? Okay. Do you want a motion on that?
No.
Okay. Next on the agenda is Marcota Building Paint. Mr. McCollum wants to paint the rest of the building.
Well, the back side of it, my thought was is to wait a year and see how this product holds up. But he said that the company was shutting down or something for so many months, so he wanted to do, because the brick's just on the front side of the building, the block goes clear around the back side. And I don't know if you guys have went by and looked at it, but it does look pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm just curious to see how long it holds up.
It'd be nice to see from the spring.
Yep.
Okay, so we're not gonna paint the rest of the building, is what we're.
Well,
Not right now.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you can always paint it, but.
yep.
I think he was, whenever I talked to Belvin, it sounded like he was gonna offer a discount to do it now, because he already ran that through the system.
He
What
just
do you
doesn't
think?
want to clean on his.
Well, I'm just saying, that's what he said to me, and that's what he said, right? Yeah, he was saying that he'd give us a discount to do that right now, to clean out his building.
How much of this?
So it was 38 or 1800 bucks. I think what he said the total was. And it was, didn't have to pay him until next year,
You can just wait till next year.
I suppose.
Well, it's up to you, council.
Always in the business of saving money.
Let's see how that. Okay, moving on. Next on the agenda is live stream meetings.
Well, I just thought maybe we ought to buy the equipment and do it ourselves. And I think all of it, like the school board and the county commissioners should all do it.
It's up to you, council.
Anybody else have a problem with that? You know?
What's it
So
gonna
I'm
cost?
like, I don't want to be responsible for that for
Okay.
the meeting. I mean, if
I just-
somebody else wants to do it, that's fine, but I have enough with keeping up with this.
So that's a no,
I mean,
council?
If we did live stream, we'd probably have to set up either a Facebook page or something like that for the city.
You don't have them?
Yeah, the website.
But if there's a Facebook page, you could just go live on Facebook. City of Martin.
Sarah, what do you think about live stream meetings?
A lot of people do it. You can, or you don't have to, but people do it. You might wanna invest in some mics, because everybody will have the same difficulty I have. If you just have like a laptop or somebody on a phone, everybody who speaks is far away. I have a real hard time hearing it. You're gonna get a lot of complaints. You know, a lot of those places will set different mics throughout the room so that it picks up better. So you might consider doing something like that, or you're gonna get a lot of complaints that people who tune
I
in
think that's the next point on the agenda.
like I can't very well.
that's exactly the next thing we're gonna talk about, is not being able to hear you, or the public not being able to, or the public not being able to hear you, or you not being able to hear the public.
Yeah.
So are we moving on from live stream to audio for meetings?
Yeah, I suppose.
Well, I have a question. If they want to live stream on a Facebook page,
Sure.
then do I have to treat the Facebook page the same as the web page? Keep it updated with everything? The agenda and the minutes, and all that?
I don't think so. I'd have to check the statute for sure, but I believe the statute reads that if the city has a web page, the agenda, packet, meeting minutes have to go up on the web page. I don't believe the statute requires that of all your social media presences in addition.
Okay.
I can double check that, but I don't think you have to do that. Yeah, if you did, you might want to think differently about it. It just requires more work than it's worth.
Good enough.
Okay, next on the agenda, audio for meetings.
Exactly what she said. She can't hear us, and we can't hear her. I know, as I've sat here, that
Explain what you mean by that.
I didn't put it on the agenda.
no, the audio. Like,
Yeah, what do you mean?
Make it,
Everybody have a microphone in front of them, or what?
I was just suggesting that we upgrade our equipment. We could do it without whatever. You could tie the microphone into everybody's table and have it linked to her audio recording. If you want to have it clear for the minutes or people here. I don't know. I was just wanted to upgrade it so she could be able to hear us. At least get the mic for her, so she knows what we're asking her.
And also speakers
Yeah.
for her that are louder that you guys and everybody can hear
I
her.
think it's a good idea because a lot of times people back here can't hear what we're talking about.
Exactly.
And it's our responsibility to make sure they hear.
Yep.
And especially for those of us who are hard of hearing. I'll go for that.
Well, and I was thinking about an audio system for the room. You put speakers in the back, you don't have to put them in the ceiling, you can put them along the wall. You know, get some quotes or some ideas, call somebody who knows more about it than I do.
That laptop,
There's some even small towns that have this set up really, really nifty. They usually do it on Teams instead of Zoom because it works better, but they have a tower that they set in the middle of the dais, and the tower has 360 cameras, and it will automatically put on the screen whoever's talking. So, you know, if the mayor's talking, the screen switches to that. If somebody in the audience is talking, it switches to that. And so those of us who are calling in see who it is who's talking, because like now I can't see the chief at all. I know his voice, but anybody who's watching immediately sees that person on the screen, and then you do too up on your screen. But then they have just separate little, you know, of this big that are all connected, and they just put maybe 5, 6 of them throughout the room. And so it has 360 visual coverage, and then you can hear better. There are small towns who have that, and it works really slick. So yeah, I'd encourage you to maybe check on some equipment.
What was
like
that called?
And it seems like they always have to work through Microsoft Teams instead of Zoom.
Teams.
I think I saw an advertisement for that. Isn't that's like 1,500, I think, total? Like for that camera that you're talking about where it zooms in on each person?
Could be, I haven't looked at the pricing,
You wanna
but
check
it is
in on
slick, it is
I
nice.
could check, I could do it too. I mean, me and Ty could do
Yeah,
it.
it's pretty
Okay.
simple. I imagine they're wireless mics that you can just put anywhere.
And I think the camera would have to be like set up here, because it's like it's got like 3 or 4 cameras on it, and then it just, and I think it's a stand thing, I mean, hanging it from the ceiling, I guess.
Kidding. Yeah.
So, it's like the 4 football games. That camera goes zipping down along the wire and covers everything.
So Warren and Tyler are gonna check on this tower deal and report back to this next meeting.
Sounds good.
All right,
Sounds like a plan.
next on the agenda, building permits.
I think they have done here, I mean, one's an extension and the other one's just.
You guys are all done with me, right? Thank you, Mayor and Council.
One's for extension. Hey, well, otherwise,
We got the contract.
you got the
Yes.
started.
Thank you.
We're doing on the northwest. 1,800 square feet. Who's there?
Sandra. Sandra.
Fence. Gonna have lawn and garden and all that stuff, so we can get rid of the reefer trailer out front.
She's
It's
gonna
kind of a nice
Chain
one.
link fence and then another fence.
6 foot.
Yeah.
I can't make a motion, so you guys,
I gotta see it.
Well,
you haven't seen it?
It's just the one on Eighth, right?
No.
Well, and then there's was it Bird?
Sandra.
Yeah, Sandra Bird, a little more fencing.
Who's on that?
A motion to approve the Louis hardware extension.
How much time?
How much time?
How much time do you have?
How much time do you want?
Well, they're getting ready for the floor already, and it's not gonna take them very long to do the building, so I would say, you know, a couple months would be more than
6 months?
adequate, I would think.
Give him 6 months.
6 months?
That would be more than that.
6 months. So motion to give them an extension of 6 months for the Louis hardware extension.
Motion by Warren to extend Bowie Hardware building permit, 6
Second.
months. Second by Larry. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Randy abstains.
Should have signed it, huh?
And
I don't know. Never saw it.
once, I guess I'll wait for it. There's one for the extension, and there's one for Sandra Bird.
Is it all right if I ask Sarah a question like we talked about earlier? Sarah, can you hear me?
Yeah,
I have a question on that on construction or projects that were done and a building permit possibly never even been issued. Is that something that we can still pursue if it's been a certain amount of time? And then what happens if the property has changed ownership? Then what is involved?
The second one is a good question, I'm not sure. The first one, are you looking at finding the person, or
Well,
do you want
yeah,
them
they've
to
got,
take down the improvements? they
we've
made?
got structures that have been put up and built in that, and no building permits ever been issued. And I'm sitting there thinking, is there some resolution to that?
Well, you can find them, so they can be ticketed and be fined for it. If you actually wanted them to then undo the building improvements, that's a separate question, I'm not sure about that, I'd have to look that up, maybe you're not trying to pursue that, but you might wanna ticket them just so folks know, you really do have to get a building permit before you start building.
Right.
If it changed ownership, that's, oh goodness. Yeah, I don't know that you could ticket the new owner because they didn't commit the infraction, they didn't build without a building permit.
Yeah.
If your question is, does the new owner have to take down the improvement because the previous owner didn't get a building permit, that's also a good question, I don't know the answer to, but maybe you're not looking to do that.
I just, it's just a mess that needs taken care of. If we're gonna pursue all these other issues with a code enforcement officer, we ought to be pursuing the resolution of these kinds of deals also. You know? I mean, because if we're expected to have building permits and that, like everybody else, how is it that these people are getting away without one? That's my point, you know?
Is that, what, does Joel vote for that? Does
Not the
Joel-
building permit part.
No. How would we know who has a building permit and not, I guess? I mean, obviously, we're approving building permits and all that, but I guess I'm not aware of any building.
Jeff Cisco appraises, right, and that's where property taxes come from.
Uh-huh.
So if he's unaware of property being improved on the outside, then that's part of his deal.
Well, a lot of what I'm talking about is probably not improved the property value.
Okay.
It's probably went the other way,
Does she own both, does she own that extra lot?
I'm sure.
I'll have to look and see.
Yeah, I'm positive.
And she might wanna get rid of it, you know. Might not have the money to pay somebody to get rid of it.
Well, and I understand, and it should, that should have maybe been resolved in the transfer of the property and the price and the whole nine yards, but it's a little late for that now, you know? So,
Can't we find him?
And
We'd have to have some
you have to find
inspector,
them and
we'd have to have somebody that knew the property before and the property after.
the neighbors all know before and after.
I understand.
I have a question on this chain link fence. This is around two places and it's only $500.
I think they had, she has
All the material.
all the materials.
Okay.
Motion to approve, Sandy Bird's building permit for changes, or for two rentals.
Motion by Warren to approve Sandy Bird building permit. Is there a second or discussion?
I'll move.
Second by Larry. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, next on the agenda, past due water bills.
Motion to handle the water bill as usual.
Second.
Motion by Warren to handle the delinquent water bills as we have in the past. Second by Tyler. Excuse me, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Code enforcement. You all have a list of follow-up report that was generated on the 15th of August. Do you have any questions?
The 501 First Street, is that the old Mexico? building that's gonna be down,
That's 101.
because it says 42821 501 First Street, one new building, and the city has signed a release form to get building.
Yes.
That's that one? Okay, that was the one that I.
Rachel, I believe you wanted to talk about your code enforcement letter from Joel.
Yes, I did. We had the meeting on the night, of the 14th, and on, I don't know if it was the 15th, I was in court for another matter, and then on the 16th, I received, a letter, no, not the 16th, but I think it was the 17th or something. It was mailed out the 16th. And this is, Dear Mr. and Mrs. Adair, in an effort to eliminate any confusion, I am sending this updated list of work needed on properties that you own or control. We will use this method to ensure that you're gaining compliance and staying on track. If deadlines are missed, we will resume the fine schedule for all the properties and recommence demolition order for the house on 305 Stover. By September the 13th of 24, you will have all the vehicles currently licensed on your properties, and all loose materials, poles, lumber, etc. will be removed from the east side of the property at 308 Stover. Okay, we have, the only thing we have there are the poles that have to go into the ground, that they had to take down the fence. And that has not been remedied yet. My husband and my son were not even able to pick up that fence by themselves. So we have the poles there that have to go into the ground, and then the large piece of fencing that will go connecting to those poles. So those are not removed, but we got the other wood and stuff out of there. Next time I'm through Martin, I will reach out to you to go through the materials in the rear of the garage at 305 Stover to help determine what can stay and what needs to be removed. After my conversation with you, most of this has been done already. And some of those things that are behind the garage are to use, it's scaffolding and boards to use on the house so that we can do the building. So he's saying we have to have all of those out of there, and I said you can't have all of those out of there. There's some things that will have to go, and I understand that. But we can't take all of those out. That's by the 13th of September. Okay, by October the 18th, the front door and the windows will be installed on the house at 305 Stover Street. Exterior of the house will be secured, and interior will be protected from the outside elements. Other than the double windows, some of them, one window pane is broken, but it is secured to the outside for weather. So we do have the windows and the door. We don't have the front window, and that is one of the things. But we're a little bit afraid, and I told Joel, I have not been fearful about going to him because he says in his letters, except this one, that you can contact him. So I've kept in contact with him all these months and talked to him. Okay, I get a different message from him than I get a different message from here. After the court session, I was told by someone that it looked like we had 2 years. And then the next day I get this and I go, oh my goodness. So I called Joel. Okay, so then that wasn't right. And we spoke and we understand. But we're working on a man that is going zipping here and there and working like he has ADHD, going to all the different places and saying how it's going to have to happen. Now, when the person read this letter or heard the letter, they said that it was very, very concise. I mean, you have to be right there. You have to have all the strength. You have to have the manpower. If you have one person, that's not all going to work together. I work a 21-hour day. I am at home for 3 hours a day. I make family food, and on Saturdays and Sundays, I do church on Sundays. On Saturdays, I do my cleaning and my cooking. Then I'm back to work that night. I don't get paid for all these hours. I am working for the community. Okay, so October the 18th, which is it's a month and 5 days. That we have to have all these other things done. Okay, by November the 15th, we have to have a heating system in. Now, are they going to balk at my heating system? Is that going to be what's going to be against me because I don't put in the furnace that they want or the heating system that they want? But it has to be installed. You'll have electrical wiring completed, and the state inspector will sign off on it. The plumbing in the house will be done, and the state plumbing inspector will have the plumbing portion signed off. You will also be started insulating the rafters in the living area will be repaired. We have removed some of those walls. We have to build walls yet before we can get that wire done. I mean, that is in even a month. October the 18th to November the 15th. I'm just going to tell you, friends, I've been in Martin a long time. I've given my life here 36 years. And this is what we're dealing with. This is what we're dealing with. I'm having nightmares. I'm having panic attacks, waking up in the middle of the night. I have anxiety attacks. I've gone to the doctor and wept through my appointments because I cannot handle this. What is that I have to do? Why? When someone who doesn't even know our life it says, state electrical inspector will inspect the wiring for correct installation. My husband's going to do it. In South Dakota, you're allowed to do that yourself, if that is your residence. Why is he requiring me to have a state inspector? I have to have a state plumbing inspector to inspect the plumbing for correct installation. All the plumbing, all the sewer is into the house area. All of the electric is into the house area. But we don't have it connected. We don't have our walls. We've changed the layout of the house. So the bathroom's going to be different than where it was last time because it was a little dinky hole in there and that had a walk-in shower. Come on. This is going to take more than just less than 30 days. Your house will be drywalled and taped by March the 30th of 25. Cabinet work, flooring, trim work will be completed by June the 30th. And the house at 305 will be ready to be inspected by me for habitability by August the 30th. So he's the inspector. Excuse me, my alarm is going off. I don't mind trying to work with that schedule, but in feasibility, the one I spoke to said, oh my, that is too close. It's obvious you're going to have to go back to the city council. I don't mind trying to keep up with this, but how in this world am I supposed to have all of the walls rearranged and fixed so that we can have the wires run, the toilet put in? All of that is like I said, sewer is to the house, electric is to the house, water is to the house. It's all there. But I would just really, really, really appreciate some mercy. So I'm on 2 to 3 different medications just to handle my anxiety attacks. I wake up like this. I wake up with racing heart in the middle of the night. It's not I'm trying to have a panic attack for myself, I need to have some help because I'm receiving these threats. And I just think that maybe somebody could help us think a little bit wider span, because we haven't had any help. One of the other board members from before said that they would try to get us help, but we haven't gotten any help. It's not that we're asking for you to do it, but we are asking for a space of time that's reasonable so that we can do it. Because the inside of that house is done.
How much time do you need?
Well, I don't know, but I do know that it's going to be unfeasible to have November the 15th with all the electric in and all the plumbing in and have it inspected by the state. I mean, that I don't understand why that has to be. And I told him, I said, but Joel, that's not a requirement of South Dakota. But it's my requirement. And he says, and if you are going to do it, and you're going to do it right, you're not going to be afraid to have it inspected. But I've already told you we don't have money. We are living day to day to get our bills paid. And we've paid for the church because we don't have an income from the church. We don't have an organization that sends to us. We do what we have done. We never took the welfare for the children, except they were on Medicaid. That's all we ever had. And we raised the children. Our life has been service. I was raised as a minister's child, and I was raised as a missionary. So I'm just telling you.
I think Joel is giving you an out. If he comes to look at your property and you have shown him that you are trying, he'd give you till a year's time, till next August or 1st of September,
Right.
30th. So I would think that he would be understanding enough to see that you're actually accomplishing something.
Well, I think he will, and I have. I've told him, but, you know, he says one thing, then they come back in the council, he says, oh, the council says this. And it's totally different from what I had been in the council meeting 2 nights before. That's what is upsetting me, because I don't know who to trust. If Joel says one thing, and then they say another thing, what's to be? What's to be? And, you know, yeah, I know he's given us till August the 30th. But November the 15th isn't enough time to get those walls all built and the electric into all those rooms.
But if he comes and you show him that you're making progress, I would think that he would understand and be a little lenient on absolutely coming in and saying they're going to tear the house down.
Well, I hope so. I really, really hope so.
Well,
And that's why I've come tonight, because I need to know that there's a clarity between this council. I'm sorry, my body's just doing the same thing. But between the council and between Joel, the words can be the same. You expect that with parents, and we need to think about that as a council. Nobody should have to be driven away from Martin just because somebody's plainness isn't the same as another person's plainness, even though they're working at it.
thank you. Anything else on the Code Enforcement Council? If not, next on the agenda is complaints. Any complaints? Too hot. I would make a recommendation or a request for adjournment.
Second.
Motion by Warren, second by Tyler.
You can take that home.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
You'd like to take that shit home. Keep
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
I can do that.
He's unlike you, by the way. Yeah.